1.
It's an end of an era at HDFC AMC, as Prashant Jain calls it quits. But this show is not about the man himself, but what it means for investors in a bunch of schemes at HDFC AMC, which were directly under Prashant Jain. You could argue that directly or indirectly, most things would be under him, or all things would be under him, considering that he was the CIO, so to say. But this is more about the schemes which had his firm imprint, and does a departure of somebody who's had a very peculiar style of investing in any way impact the schemes or the returns, and therefore should any of the unit holders of the HDFC schemes which were managed by Prashant worry at all or no. I've got two men who've looked at mutual funds, the space, and some of the funds very, very closely for a number of years. It was important to get somebody who are two people who have looked at this space for a really long time, and therefore my guests today, Vijai, Mantri, and Sunil, Jhaveri, they need no introduction, so I won't give much. Let me just get straight to the point. Vijay, let me start with you. Should investors, if not worry, but should investors watch out? Let me put it that way.
In my opinion, not at all, because the great thing about the great people is what kind of legacy they leave, and they leave in a way that nobody notices that they left the company. So, for instance, if you look at Navneet Munot, who was the CIO of SBI Mutual Fund, he done a fantastic job. So when he left SBI a couple of years back, I don't think SBI is missing him, because he's put that kind of processes and policies in place. Similarly, Prashant, he will be missed by the mutual fund industry very badly. But investor of his scheme, particularly 3 scheme which is managing, need not worry, because HDFC Mutual Fund does have battery of fund manager, and we can discuss little later in the program. And they also have an oversight of Navneet Munot, who has more than 30 years of experience in the business of investing and remained a very, very successful CIO of the largest mutual fund in the country today. So for me, the mutual fund investor of these 3 schemes of HDFC Mutual Fund should not worry at all.
Okay, the 3 schemes in point, viewers, just for clarification, the HDFC Balance Advantage Fund, one of the oldest schemes with a large corpus, assets of northwards of 35,000 crores. The HDFC Flexi Cap Fund and the HDFC Top 100 Fund, which are about 15,000 apiece, 15,000 crores apiece, I mean, and therefore that's a large sum of money. Now, Sunil, come in. Whether you believe there could be something to watch out for? I'm not saying worry, but to watch out for, or no, not at all. Simply because Prashant Jain was also a fund manager, or is also a fund manager, but was at HDFC AMC a fund manager with a very peculiar style, very value oriented. His performance in the earlier years stood out for how he did, and in the last 4 or 5 years, while the performance was not as good as the previous years, it stood out for the kind of stance that he took, which at times didn't work as well for a period of 3, 4, 5 years relative to some of the others.
But which are panning out now, unfortunately or fortunately for the investors. So no, it's too naive to think that nothing will be different without Prashant Jain, and it will be too naive to think that everything will be different without Prashant Jain. As Vijay rightly pointed out, there are processes in place which these kind of institutions put in place. So it's never a star fund manager or a star person which drives the investments. It's a 4 lakh crore investments which they are managing in the equity space. So unless and until they put processes in place, I don't think they would have been so successful so far. They also have 5 or 6 star fund managers, or stalwarts, I would say, which not many fund houses can boast of. And some of them are actually the products and mentees of Prashant Jain also. So I would presume that the journey will continue, the processes will continue, the value style of investing of Prashant Jain also should continue. But people were actually complaining as to, because of his processes of investing in PSU stocks, etc., there was an underperformance. And all of a sudden now post-COVID, everything has changed dramatically. And all of his schemes, with the 3 schemes which you spoke about, if they were in the middle of the pack from 2015 to 2020, are in top of the pack and practically number 1, number 2 performers in their categories.
In a manner of speaking, leaving on a high, if you will. No, but the real question, Vijay, and the reason why I bring this up is, right, because there is a distinction between, distinct styles between what Prashant has done, at least in the last 6-7 years, if not longer, versus what Chirag, who is now the CIO equities of HDFC Mutual Fund, has. And we've seen past instances, right? When Kenneth Andrade went out from the IDFC stable, there was a distinct change in the way the schemes perform. I'm not saying they're good, bad, or ugly, but there's a change in how the schemes perform. There's some bit of change in the portfolio at a point of time for the period of 6 months or 9 months as well. Could that be anticipated, or should that be expected?
So I don't think the Prashant exit happened suddenly. I think it is a very planned exit and very smooth exit. So I think they have been discussing it. May not be at least 1 month, but at least more than 1 quarter. So that is a one part. So there's a continuity of what he intends to do. Second is that every individual fund manager have their own unique style of managing the money, and that's why they generate the alpha. And that is the reason that every fund house have people with different kind of investing style. Just look at the HDFC Mutual Fund. So you have a Gopal Agarwal, who was the original poster boy of Mirai. When Mirai came into India in 2008, he was there with the Mirai for 7-8 years and has created outstanding track record in Mirai. That guy is very good at macro, also bottom of stock picking. And if you look at his fund, which is the HDFC Dividend Yield Fund, last 1 year it is 11% return. If you look at his HDFC Large and Mid Cap Fund, which is managing, is 10% return. And Multi-Cap, which just got launched in November 2021, is also showing decent number. Other fund manager, Prashant Jain, who I think a year plus back got hired from Franklin Templeton. He's managing HDFC Tax Saver, which has generated 18% return in last 1 year, and HDFC Focus Fund, which has generated around 12 to 14% return in last 1 year. If you look at the money managed by, and then you have Chirag Setalwad, who is managing mid cap and small cap, hybrid his investment performance is also very good. So if you look across these three people, they have expertise in mid cap, small cap, hybrid, children gift fund, retirement, focus, dividend yield, a multi cap, and large and mid cap. So I think as far as market cap is concerned, as far as the stocks are concerned, they cover everything. Yes, every individual fund manager will have their own unique style of managing money. So perhaps when these three funds get, I don't know who will be the rightful owner to manage these funds, but when these three funds get managed by different set of people, definitely there'll be change in the stocks. But I don't think they are going to make changes dramatically overnight, because it will happen very gradually. It will happen very systematically. And the beauty of the money managed by Prashant Jain is that all three funds are by and large into large cap or top 100, top 150 kind of a stock. So where the impact cost, even you want to exit, will not be very high. So I think, in my opinion, yes, there'll be some changes in the style of the way these funds are being managed. But please remember, whenever we talk about underperformance, no great fund manager you can expect consistency. You can't have, because the market behave differently, your conviction will be very different. Every great fund manager has gone through a long period of underperformance, because that is the nature of this job.
Got it. Sunil, do you believe that there could be some changes in the portfolio allocations of some of these schemes? Particularly, think of it, the Flexi Cap Fund, with the presumption that Chirag Setalwad, who's the CIO, might have some imprint there. And usually we've seen, I believe even in HDFC's case, a Flexi Cap is not technically run like how a multi cap would be, like 25%, 25%, and 50%, right? It's got a very large cap dominated flavor. And here we have somebody who's an expert of mid caps and might have the liberty to be able to do that in order to generate alpha. So could there be changes anticipated? And should investors, who they may not be bothered about whether, or they may not be worried about an underperformance, but should they, if they are style oriented, should they kind of look out for that change in style into any of these?
See, Vijay has pointed out 4 or 5 fund managers which they have. One has come from Gopal Agarwal, of course, is ex-Mirai. Rahul Baijal has come from Sundaram, who was managing large caps. So I would assume that he would be in charge of, we do not know what's going to be divided between the fund managers, which scheme, etc. Prashant Jain was doing a wonderful job as far as the Franklin Focus is concerned, which is again a value style of investing, where she also was having PSU stocks in those schemes. So I would presume that she will carry that forward as far as value style of investing of Prashant Jain is also concerned. So I'm sure they have, these big organizations, they have put transitions in place beautifully. So there will be no mismatches happening as far as the philosophies are concerned, the consistency is concerned, etc. And that is what these big institutions are known for. When Navneet Munot came in place of Milind Barve, people were saying who will fill up the big shoes of Milind Barve. It's like saying after Sachin Tendulkar who? So naturally Virat Kohli came in and stepped in. So after Prashant Jain who? I'm sure there will be many more Prashant Jains who will happen. Naturally, we will miss Prashant because he has been a poster boy for equity mutual fund per se in the Indian mutual fund industry. He's really left a big legacy as far as mutual fund industry is concerned. I'm hoping that he'll be continuing in the mutual fund space. We really have no idea as to where he will be. But yes, so they have enough expertise within the organization to carry forward the value style of investing of Prashant Jain by different fund managers who are managing different schemes currently. And I'm sure the allocation also will be according to the expertise of each fund manager within the space also.
Okay, gentlemen. So last question, and maybe, I mean, I'm not saying it's a difficult question, but just trying to understand a change at the helm, not just from a perspective of the funds managed by Prashant, but from the driving force that a CIO of a fund is. Does that make you adopt or reject any of the large AMC schemes that were run by the fund? Now, I know your answer is a no, that you are saying that we continuity out there, but I'm just trying to understand. Maybe you believe that there could be a slightly more aggressive intent out there in some of the schemes which Prashant may have not had, and therefore they might actually be acceptable to people as well. So I'm trying to get that answer from you. Is there a change in quote unquote the recommendations on any of the HDFC AMC schemes for the better as well? Sunil, this I'll start with you. Would you include some of the HDFC AMC schemes in the belief that there could be a change in style to a more aggressive style now that Prashant is not there?
Okay, let me put it in perspective. First of all, the performances of each of the schemes post-COVID. So if you see from April 2020 to now, HDFC FlexiCap is second among the 23 schemes which are there in that space. HDFC Balance Advantage Fund is first ranked among 19 schemes which are there in that space. And HDFC Large Cap is fourth among the 26 schemes which are there in that space. Why would anybody want to disturb that?
Sure.
Simple question. So why would anybody want to disturb the style of investing which has worked and they have bounced back so beautifully in all the schemes possible, in all the categories possible?
No, hence my question,
there will
Sunil.
be individual stock picking, the sector selections, etc. will change, differ based on. And by the way, the top three, the top performing schemes in the first 3 years is always invariably, we've realized, and I've got data for that also, that they come into the bottom in the next 3 years and so forth. So that is also a change of style of how the markets give importance to certain sectors, certain style of investing, etc. Every 3 years, the winners keep changing. So that really should not bother the investors at all.
Okay. No, Vijay, and therefore we'll end with you, but that's the point. I'm not saying that the schemes which were managed by Prashant should be done away with. I'm asking if the change of the driving force behind the equity culture in an AMC, does it make you believe that, okay, some of the schemes which are probably not in your consideration list of your firm, you might kick them because there might be some investors who might want a more aggressive style, which maybe Prashant might not have given, and the new CIO or CIO equities or the head equities might give? That's my question, really.
I don't think Prashant was less aggressive. Prashant used to back himself. Prashant is not at all less aggressive. Actually, used to back himself. If you like idea, he will be convinced about it. He will go full hog into that.
True.
But I'll give some precedent in the industry. If you look at the Balanced Advantage Fund, Manish Gunwani of ICICI Prudential was the poster boy of Balanced Advantage Fund. He moved to Nippon. I think the scheme remained and active, grew in ICICI Pool. We have Madhu Kela, who was iconic fund manager in Reliance. He left. Sunil Singhania came. He left. Now Manish Gunwani there. We have Bharat Shah, Sanjay Bhattacharya. We have Arup Bhaskar left. Petri left. Invesco moved to UTI. Anup Bhaskar left UTI, moved to IDFC Mutual Fund. So we have seen this kind of churn. What is so remarkable about this, that this guy had changed 3 companies without changing his visiting card. Okay, his visiting card got changed twice, but he's not changed a company. because the
You're
company
right.
got merged.
Absolutely
So
right.
the debate is because of one individual. He was there for more than 26 years at one place only. That's why we are debating. Else, I think it's very important, in my opinion, coming of age for the mutual fund industry. Globally, we have seen iconic fund manager leaving after 3 decades or 4 decades of performance. In India, we are slowly seeing HDFC was the last bastion, I believe. We have seen in Nippon, Birla, SBI. We have seen on all asset management company change of guard at CIO level. HDFC,
except for ICICI, right? Except for
we have
ICICI.
seen ICICI. Dilip Madgaonkar was the early CIO.
Yeah.
Then Naren came.
Then it has been for a while.
HDFC with Sanju Bhattacharya has left, but at that time, asset under management was very small. At this level of asset management, I think we are perhaps seeing for the first time. But as I told you, like Navneet left SBI Mutual Fund just a couple of years back. SBI is doing very well. So I don't see any reason that why this scheme will not do well. And if there's a change in the style of management and that result into better performance, definitely more aggressive call can be given about HDFC Mutual Fund that one need to go and buy them.
Okay, let's wait and watch when that happens. But gentlemen, we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining in today and giving us your thoughts. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
The pleasure was ours. Viewers, thanks for tuning in.